Daf Yud Beis Amud Beis will begin Yud Beis Amud Aleph, 3 lines from the bottom. Tan Rabbanan Loshen Yom Nichas LaChatzer. If you have a body of water outside a Chatzer, and then a portion of it comes in, literally a tongue, there is a portion of it that comes in and breaches through the wall of the Chatzer, it breaks through the wall, it overflows, and it creates a pond in the Chatzer. So, for instance, if you have a Chatzer, and it has walls now this fourth wall over here, has a wall here, it had a fourth wall here. The water overflowed, there's a river or a lake, it overflowed, broke through the wall, created a pond in the Chatzer. So the halakha is ein memala min b'Shabbos. You cannot draw water from this pond, take water from this pond into the Chatzer in Shabbos. Elam kein also l'machitzah is gavoy yutfachim, unless you create machitzas to separate the Chatzer from the lake or the river, and that are 10 tefachim high, at least 10 tefachim high, to make a separation. B'med v'ram shepritzasa b'yosem asor. That's only if this area that was broken open was more than 10. Then it's considered opened up into the yam. But if it's avavasora, if it's 10 or less, ain't sora klum. Then if it still have the area is not broken open more than 10, and you still have the remnants of the existing wall, if this is an existing wall, you don't need anything because you still have a separation, the machitza, from the yam. So Gemara says, Mamalu de la melina. You can't draw water from the pond over here, that you can't do. But you could carry in the Chatzer. Now, why could you carry in the Chatzer? The Chatzer was broken open to a place which is also. This body of water is a carmelis. A carmelis is also to be metal. You can't carry from the carmelis to a Chatzer. If it's broken open, b'melua, completely open into this area which is a carmelis, it should also carrying in the Chatzer, should also carrying in the Chatzer. The more answers, we're talking about is that the base of the wall, the remnants are still there. The base is still there. There's islay gedude. So since you have the gedude, the base of the wall, even though it's underwater, it still serves as a separation between the yam and the Chatzer. There still is a separation between the two, but it's not completely enclosed off. So therefore, the water that's in the pond, since you don't have a mechitza over here, this water is still connected to the water over here. That's still considered connected. So without creating a new mechitza, you cannot draw water from the pond because we view this as part of this. But if you're not drawing water from the pond just to carry in the Chatzer, since you have the base of the mechitza is submerged underwater, but you still have the base, it's separated from the yam, and it's not considered a difference between Melu and Makam also, so carrying in the Chatzer would be mutter. That there was no sheet of mavois. So just like you have in a Chatzer, you have a ruva chaseres that we pass down in one of the houses in the Chatzer that joins the Chatzer together, and the mavoi, to be able to carry in the mavoi, besides separating it from the Rishus HaRabim, we have to join the residents together. A Chatzer is self-enclosed, but we have to join the residents together to make it consider it to be that it's a use in common. Otherwise, it appears like you're taking from a house, which is a private house, Rishus, to a place in common, which seems like you're taking, it's not, but it has the appearance of from a Rishus to Rishus HaRabim. Similarly, in a mavoi, we have to put pas in one of the chatzeres, otherwise it looks that the Chatzer is more private, the mavoi is less private. It also has the appearance of carrying from a Rishus to Rishus HaRabim. So you need a shituf. So the mavoi shalein ishtatva boy, if you have a mavoi where they did not make the shituf, Hechshera belechi. If hechsher b'lechi, if it had a hechsher with a lechi, if this move had a tikkun of a lechi, azarek l'seicha chayiv. If someone threw from the street into this move, the fact that it has a lechi, now we're assuming right now that this is talking about a move salsim, it's enclosed on 3 sides, it has a lechi, we're therefore now assuming that the lechi is mishum mechitza, and now it encloses it on 4 sides. Azarek l'seicha chayiv, if someone threw from the Rishus HaRabim into the move, he's chayiv because now he threw from a Rishus HaRabim to a Rishus HaYochid. The lechi is mishum mechitza, it may considers it a mechitza and enclosed on 4 sides. Hechsher b'kaira, but if it only had a kaira, then the kaira is not mishum mechitza he's holding. A kaira is mishum heker, and that's not a mechitza. Azarek l'seicha pater, so it's not considered a Rishus HaYochid. Azarek l'seicha pater. Maskiv l'rosheshes, time of the nishtat v'boy. You're saying it's only if they didn't make a shituv voice. Nishtat v'boy. But if they made a shituv, afil achsher b'kaira nam yichayiv, if it would be a hechsher with a kaira, it would also be chayiv, considered Rishus HaYochid. V'chei kikar zu, just because they made a shituv, they put a kikar in one of the chotzeres, that kikar, v'chei kikar zu, oises a Rishus HaYochid, Rishus HaRabim, does that determine whether the mov is a Rishus HaYochid, Rishus HaRabim? V'al-tanya, we learn clearly in the Bryce, chatzeres shel Rabim mavuis she'en mefulashim. If you have the chatzeres which are owned by different people, that they're more than one home, there's several homes that are more than one home that's open into the chaser, or a mavuis that she'en mefulashim, that are closed on 3 sides, then ben ervu ben lo ervu asayich l'sayim chayim. The Erev, whether it's an Erev or not, doesn't determine its status as a Rishus HaYochid. If it's closed on 3 sides, it's considered Rishus HaYochid, and if someone throws from the Rishus HaRabim into that area, it's chayiv. So it's not the sheet of the placing of the bread that determines whether the area is a Rishus HaYochid or Rishus HaRabim. What he meant is as follows. A movie that is not fit to make a sheet. What does that mean? That means it's not closed on 3 sides. It's only closed on 2 sides. So a shituf won't help over there. It's not fit to make a shituf. So if it's a movie that only has 2 walls, then then if this open area, the 3rd wall has a lechi, so now the lechi is mishum mechitza, and it's enclosed on 3 sides. If a person throws from the Rishus HaRabim to there, he threw from Rishus HaRabim to Rishus HaYochid, it's chayiv. Echsher b'kaira, but if you only machshir with a kaira, azayich l'saycha pater. Then, but a kaira is not mishum mechitza, a kaira is mishum heker, and therefore he would be over there pater because it's not considered to be a Rishus HaYochid. So therefore, apparently he holds that a lechi has a din of a mechitza. It's the beginnings of a mechitza. We consider it already as midaraisa. Once you have 2 walls, it's the beginning of the 3rd. So therefore, it's considered to be it makes it into a Rishus HaYochid. But a kaira does not. A kaira is only mishum heker, and it won't make it into Rishus HaYochid deraisa. He also agrees. But Verova Omar, he says, no, Echad ve'echad mishum heker. He said, both of them, it's mishum heker. It does not make the mechitza. That it's only as a reminder, it does not create a mechitza. Esa Rabbi Yaakov Rabbi L'Rova, Hazayrik L'Mavoi, if somebody threw something into the Mavoi. So we say, Yesh Lo Lechi Chayat. If there's a lechi, it's chayiv. Ein lo lechi poter. If there's no lechi, it's poter. So don't you see clearly from here that the lechi creates the mechitza, is a mechitza, and it creates the Rishus HaYochid, because there's a difference whether it has a lechi or not, whether he's chayiv or poter. He says, no, hachikam. Ein sorach ela lechi. If we're talking about that it's closed on 3 sides, it's a movi sosim, it's closed on 3 sides, so it only requires a lechi. It's only something that requires a lechi. Hazarek l'seicha chayiv. Then if a person threw into the movi, he's chayiv, not because the lechi made it into a Rishus HaYochid. A lechi is not mishum mechitza Rava holds. It's because it has 3 walls that it's a Rishus HaYochid. The lechi is only mishum heker. But if it's a movi that it only requires a lechi, meaning it has 3 walls, so it's a Rishus Yochid Deraisa. Asarik L'Saycha, if someone threw from the street to it, he's chayiv. But lechi b'davar acher, if it only has 2 walls, and it needs not only a lechi in order to carry there, you need lechi and something else. You need Tzuras HaPesach on the other side. Then a Asarik L'Saycha, then it's a mavui that is mefulish. It only has 2 walls, and therefore your potter. It's not considered Rishus Yochid. But Rava holds that the lechi itself does not create Rishus Yochid. It's not a mechitza. I'll ask you a question. Yes, Rav Yehuda said more than that. If a person had 2 houses on either side of the street, then he puts a lecha on one side and a lecha on another side, or kara on each entranceway to the street on each side. And then he can carry it in the middle. So by allowing you to carry between the houses, there's the houses and there's a street running between them. In order to carry between the houses, we have to close off this area between the houses, separate it from the street, in order to consider it to be a Rishus Yochid. And Rabbi Yehuda says we can accomplish that by putting lechi zakira. And the Chum say you cannot be ma'arav in that manner. That's not the way to do it. Then to be ma'arav in that manner. But that's mashma that Rabbi Yehuda says that the lechi or the kaira creates the Rishus Yochid. They're mechitzas. And the Chum say that that's not the way to be ma'arav, to make an error, but it's mashma that they create mechitzas, and according to Rav, they're not b'shum mechitzas. Mur says no. Hasam Kasav Rabbi Yehuda shtei mechitzas deraisa. That's the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda who holds shtei mechitzas deraisa. That really to create mechitzas you have enough. 2 is enough. The lechi or the kaira is only an erev, is an heker. And the chum say, no, you cannot do that because they hold that 2 mechitzas are not deraisa. And the lechi and kaira do not create mechitzas. But Rava says, the lechi and kaira don't create mechitzas. Rav Yehuda says, you don't need mechitzas min ha-Torah because 2 is enough. And the chum say you do, and that's why you can't be ma'arved in that way. Because Hasam Kasav Rav Yehuda shtei mechitzas deraisa. Rav Yehuda is going to the Rishit of Rav Yehuda holds 2 mechitzas deraisa. But if you don't hold 2 mechitzas deraisa, that would not be sufficient. And Rava said, therefore maintains that kaira and lechi is not mishum mechitza. Now the Gemara has another discussion. The chilik, what is the chilik between a movi and a chotzer? Now a movi, like we said, the movi there are batim chotzeres open to the movi. So you have the street and the side street. There are batim and chatzeres. They open into the street. What are the dimensions of the chatzer? What are the dimensions of a movi? We say that a chatzer, if there's a breach, if there's open the wall, you have to close it with a pas, with a board. With a movi, it's with a lechi. So Amar Rav Movi Sha'arka Kerach Ve'ena Niter Belachi Mashu. If the movi is square, you cannot be matred with a lechi. A lechi, a minimum with lechi, is not sufficient. Then you need a 4 tvachim, just like you need for a chotzer. Amar Rav Chiya bar Hashem Rav Movi Sha'arka Kerach Ve'ena Niter B'Kaira Tefach. And similarly, a kaira is not sufficient for a square movi. How much duik are there what the Zakanim said? Because if it's square, then it has a din of a chotzer. A chotzer is not niter, but lechavikar. We're more machmir by a chotzer than we are by a movi. As Rashba explained, a chotzer is a private area. In order to maintain this characteristics as a private area, then it can't be open, and we're more machmir, it has to be more enclosed. So a minimal post is not enough to enclose it. A chotzer is only used by, a chotzer is a square area, it's used by the batim, houses are opened up into the chotzer. They use a common courtyard, and this is opened up into a movi where you have different chatzeras opening up and open into this side street. The chatzer is more of a private area. It needs a pas, which is arba, to have it more enclosed to maintain its privacy. A mavoi is more public. There are chatzeres opening into it, and it's a street, so therefore it does not need so much privacy. To maintain its characteristic, it doesn't need that level of privacy. So a lechi is enough. But if it's square, then we treat it as a chaser, not as a mavoi. But he had the following kasha. Well, why don't we say, if it's square, okay, treat it as a chaser, but treat the lechi as a pas, and it should be mutter as a pas. Where it says no, he forgot what they said. Yes, it's a chaser. Yes, it's a pas, but a pas has to have 4. If it's only on one side, it has to have 4. With the 4, not a minimal width. The lechi is a minimal width, so that's why it's not kosher. Omer of Nachman the Katina, we hold the following. What's the definition of a movi that lechi or kara is sufficient? We say kol sha'orka yesr al rachba. The length has to be more than the width. And you have houses opening into chatzeres, and chatzeres, at least 2 chatzeres, at least 2 batim into 2 chatzeres, and at least 2 chatzeres into the movi. And what is a chatzer which a lechikar is not sufficient? You need a pas arba. Kol shemuras if it's square. Murvasin aguloloi, that means only dafka is square, but if it's round, then it's not like a chatzer, and therefore you can say that your mekel and can use even a lechi. No, hachi kama. If the length is more than the width, it's a movi. And movi belachavi karasagin. But if it's not, the length is not more than the width, then it's a chatzer. And if it's the shape is not the factor, it has to be the movi has to be a length is more than the width. Otherwise, we treat it as a chotzer, and you need a pas arba. So what do we say that the length has to be more than the width to be a movi? How much more? Shmuel thought to say that the length has to be double the width. But he said, this Rav Chia said, it doesn't have to be double, even a minimal amount. As long as the length is more than the width, it's treated as a movoi, and it's nitr b'lechavi kara.